This is a homage beat.
What is up? Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast of Champions. I appreciate you taking some time in your morning today, Thursday, Valentine's Day. Just doing a quick roll call and check in. Everybody comment in the comment box. Let me know where you're checking in from. I myself am checking in from Southern California, where it's raining. Damn, it's raining. It's raining hard. Us Californians, we aren't used to this shit, man. We aren't used to this rain. We're kind of spoiled with that 90-degree weather in December. You know what I mean? So wherever you are, I hope that this live stream finds you well. I've got an important message to share with you in today's live stream, which is every week, by the way. So if this is your first time checking in on the Breakfast of Champions, be sure that you subscribe. This live stream is being posted on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as Twitter. I didn't have IG up because, to be honest with you, I just forgot. So hopefully you guys caught on and are checking in on the YouTube or Facebook page, or even Twitter. But in this episode, I'm bringing you some real fire, man. I'm gonna open your eyes up to the way that you currently do your sales origination, and my goal is that I want to be able to simplify it, because I think us as human beings, we naturally tend to overcomplicate things. And if we can just simply find a way to better improve our message delivery, I think we'll actually beat down the resistance that typically stands in our way, not just from our own prospects, but individually, like in our own mindsets. So as I'm going through, definitely comment, feel free to add questions, and let me know where you're checking in from. Again, I appreciate you joining us on the live stream. Today's topic is going to be how to make more sales in 2019. So I hope you guys are excited. Let me go ahead and bring up the live chat real quick. I mean the keynote. We can go and begin this show. So, all right, without further ado, in today's Breakfast of Champions, we're going to talk about how to make more sales. But before I even go into that, I want to cover an important message, which is a reminder, actually. And it's actually, don't forget to download a copy of the sales script if you have not. Even if you have, if it was before January 2019, you're going to want to request an updated copy. I've refined it and remastered it for the everyday refi and purchase agent. So there's content in there that's going to help you with not only inbound, but also outbound lead generation. So be sure that you click one of the links below. It's going to have a banker script on it, or go to salesremaster.com. Be sure that you enter in your personal email address, not your work email, or it's going to quarantine me. So going back to the topic, how to make more sales in 2019. I think it's important for us to, first off, know our targets. And what I mean by that? What I mean by that is understand what's happening now, understand what's hot now. And I know that being a loan officer, we have a plethora of different options that we could choose from non-QM to, your government, to your DPAs, to your conventionals. And I think it's important that we first identify which one is having the most action, because when you identify where everyone's going, typically that's where the most traffic is, right? And so if you can simplify your origination approach and actually identify and be selective with who you're giving your time, I think you're going to become naturally more productive, but you're going to be able to obviously see better results that way, right? So for example, like in today's market, it's not necessary going after Bob, who has 40% equity. He hasn't refinanced in 3 years. He's sitting on a 15-year fix at 3.25. And if we try to take our valuable time and try to talk Bob into doing a debt consolidation loan, or doing like a 30-year fixed rate and term, or even a 15-year fixed rate and term, we may be burning up our valuable time. And so I think that because of technology and kind of the advancement of, we have the capability to hone in on where the help is actually needed, right? Because no one's actually going to take action unless they need to take action. And so I think the key is really just to understand who you're targeting. If you're in an inbound call center, it'd really be understanding kind of that campaign that brought them to you, right? Whereas if you're in a purchase market, I think you have to kind of reverse engineer it and really understand where most of the activity is happening. And so be selective with your time. If you're trying to approach realtors, you don't want to approach every single realtor or try to bug a realtor for an appointment unless they're actually worth that valuable time in investing into that appointment. And so I think the traditional method is just call and, talk to any warm body and try to sell them. And I think that's kind of played out. It's old school. We're not in that type of market right now. And so by being selective with your time, you're naturally going to improve or increase your overall production. But besides that, I think we need to understand how to drive instead of wait. I think too often times, a lot of loan officers, they kind of just wait for the prospect to give that okay, or we wait for the prospect to ask us questions. And I think instead we need to come with an approach where we're driving the conversation or we're driving the engagement. Understand one thing is that prospect has no idea what the process is like. They have no idea what working with you is like. And so if we can muster up all of our experience and actually use it in our advantage to drive that person to the end goal, and that end goal could be, a credit report, it could be a pitch table, it could be a close, it could be a signing, whatever it is, we got to drive them in that direction instead of wait for them to ask us to buy, or instead of wait for them to tell us what they want. We need to drive that conversation. And you'll find that being that type of expert or being that type of professional, you can actually control the direction of that conversation. So you're not just caught up in the middle for 30, 45 minutes talking to Mildred about teas and crumpets. And I think you're being a little bit more selective with how you spend your time. And thus, of course, naturally, you're actually going to be spending it with a little bit more kind of high return actions like outbound follow-ups or what have you. And of course, again, identifying and knowing your target audience. So besides driving besides understanding how to drive rather than wait, I think it's important that we have certainty and an emotion within our delivery. certainty and emotion, these are two different things, right? So certainty is going to come based on your product knowledge. So you need to understand your products. You need to understand where your products are needed, what value your prospects provide or your products provide, and also with an emotion into it. So you have to literally be bought into your solution. So besides understanding your products, besides understanding your sales process and the logistics, and understand the steps that are involved to take your prospect from point A to point B, you have to have an emotion behind you. Because if you think about it again, sales is really the ability to transfer an emotion. And so if you don't have an emotional investment into the message that you're relaying or you're giving, neither will that prospect. You have to be bought in. You have to be excited about the information that you're about to give this particular prospect, because you know that it's dramatically going to change their life. It's dramatically going to provide an improvement to their day-to-day living. And I think too oftentimes we kind of get caught up in this kind of process where it's just a process. So it's just like, hey, my name's Daniel. Thanks for calling me. It's a great day at my company. I think you have to do more than that. You have to guide them, right? So assume that they have an issue, assume that they have a problem, find it and craft a solution for that problem, and really have an emotion behind it. Like, be emotional. And when I say emotional, I'm not talking about cry, boo-boo. I'm talking about you got to be enthusiastic about it, and not too enthusiastic, because there's a fine balance. So you can't be like, hey, blah 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 blah. You know, you have to deliver that emotion, transfer that emotion, so that your prospect feels excited about your solution or your message or your service or your product, much like you are. And you're gonna find that they will actually receive it and accept it and feel more excited about it. And what happens when they feel excited is then they tend to give it urgency. They tend to give you loyalty. But more importantly, that curiosity builds this bond with you, because you're driving the ship and they want to know where you're taking them. So besides that, you also want to provide rather than offer. And so what does that mean? You see, I think the average salesman or the outdated salesman who's not studying and following the content here at Sales Remastered does a lot of offering. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, that loan officer may call and offer cash out, or offer a shorter term, or offer a rate and term. And I think we actually need to provide a solution. And the only way that you can really provide is if you drive the conversation, right? So instead of like waiting and offering to see if they'll bite, I think you really need to understand your target audience and drive the message so that you're providing solutions. And there's a difference between giving versus offering. Whereas, like, if you're giving someone a solution, you're not offering them. And there's a certain tonality change in a switch within your message delivery that the prospect will want to take it. Because what happens most often, you know, everything from offering water to offering help to offering advice, right? Like, people, when you offer something, typically people don't feel the necessarily feel the need to take it. But if you provide it, they'll take it. Think of it like Costco, right? They provide you free samples. People take that all day long. So when you give a solution, you need to literally give it. Don't offer it. Make sense? And the only way that you can identify what solution to give is you have to be personable. You have to be empathetic. You have to be about your prospect. Again, you have to have certainty. You need to know and understand your products, how they affect your end consumer, and the end result that it gives your prospects and your consumers. So besides that, you also need to close instead of ask. You know, one thing that is true about me that you may not know is that I never ask for the sale. I close the sale. And what I mean by that, there's a difference, right? So within my sales pitches, I craftily manipulate the message in a way where it builds anticipation and it builds kind of this excitement. And what that excitement sounds like is, okay, well, what do we do next? Oh, it sounds great, Daniel. How do we do this? How do we get started? That's that peak, or that point of climax in emotional state where they're ready to move to the next level. And so instead of ask and say, okay, well, would you like to begin? Or would you like to lock? Or would you like a pre-approval? Or would you like to do this? I don't ask, I assume, and I provide, and I give the instructions on what they need to do next. Because again, I don't I don't offer, I provide. I provide a solution. And I think that you need to understand that there's a difference. And when you do identify that and you start changing the tonality and the way you deliver your message, you're naturally going to actually produce more. It's weird, but that's just the way it works. Now, besides that, you want to go after your referrals. I think too often times loan officers are just kind of waiting for the referral, hoping that they get a referral or they get a testimonial. You have to force the issue. And there's only so many different ways, right? Like you can't be a bugaboo about it. You can't be hitting them up 9,000 times. I'm talking about you got to map it out for them. Make it as easy as possible for you to get referrals and also get testimonials. If anything, I think there's this awkwardness of kind of asking, right? Like, hey, refer me to your neighbors, refer me to your family, refer me to your friends, your coworkers, or what have you. But if you at least go in for the referral and the testimonial, that testimonial in itself will become social proof, which then you can use to generate more business. Referrals are going to be an amazing kind of icing on the cake because you first off need to serve good service, right? You need to be able to provide value and be so memorable that someone just wants to be your cheerleader. So someone's going to tell their friends and family of how great you are. And you have to be proactive, or at least understand that comes way before. That comes from hello, my name is, that's right from the very beginning. So you have to be aware of that, because if you're not aware of that and you're just kind of treating it as a process, there's no personalization, there's no bond between you two. And the way you want to build up your delivery and that experience for that end consumer is in a way that they are going to work with you again and again, but also rant and rave about you either online or to their friends and their family. So don't forget to get those referrals. Don't forget to get the testimonials. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Social Survey, but I was voted in 2018 as one of the top 10 recipients of most positive social surveys. So I had the most positive reviews. And what's fortunate is that I work with a platform that provides that service for you, so they kind of do all that on the back end. But I ensure that I do remind them at the time of giving of their loan closing or their loan funding. I call them and I make sure, or I at least in the very least send them a voice message or an email. And the reason why is because at that point in time, when the service is done, whether it's a refinance or a purchase, just for them to hear that it's done and now their new savings or their new home ownership begins, that's another point of an emotional peak that you can really take advantage of and leverage it for your own future business opportunities. And so all these reviews, they become my social proof. And now online, if you look at my email signature, people who want to learn a little bit more about me, if they go to a page, I've got over 100 positive reviews. And so everyone's talking about how awesome I am. And so because we naturally as humans tend to like to do what other people are doing, we need that social proof. Companies like Yelp is built on social proof. How often have you gone to Yelp just to kind of figure out what the what the status is on a specific company or a restaurant? I go to Yelp all the time. And I think that consumer mindset or that trend or that characteristic is something that we need to really identify and learn how to use it for our own leverage. So if you aren't doing these things, if you don't know what audience to target, you're just originating blindly. You're going to waste your time. It's not a way to improve or increase your sales production in 2019. If you're waiting rather than driving, again, you're letting the prospect or the window shoppers control your time. So therefore you're burning your time rather than using it more effectively. And I think all the successful individuals within this industry, just in general in business, understand the value of their time. And so they maximize the actions within that time. And so in order to do that, you need to drive every single engagement. You can't just wait. But besides that, you have to have certainty in your products. You need to know the ins and outs. And I'm not talking about every single guideline. What I'm talking about is you need to understand how that particular product affects people, or how it helps them, or how it helps alleviate their pain. And so if they don't necessarily qualify for a conventional, you need to understand how a government loan can step in the interim until they can get back into a conventional. You have to understand the logistics. You need to understand every single step within that sequence so you can properly drive that process to multiply your production, your results. But besides that, get emotionally bought into your service. Be emotionally bought into how your product affects that particular person. So if you're not bought into it, if you're worried that it's not beneficial, they're going to worry that it's not beneficial. And so you'll know this is happening to you because you're probably getting a lot of objections about, oh, let me think about it, or, oh, let me see, let me talk to my wife about it. They're not necessarily bought into you yet. It's because there's no emotional investment. There's no emotional buy-in. So you need to learn how to transfer your emotions. And then providing versus offering. Again, if you guys aren't actually giving solutions, but instead you're offering it, it means you don't know anything about your prospects. It means you're not taking the time to really be empathetic with that person and figure out how you can provide them a solution. And if you don't got the solution, they don't got no business for you. They don't have no interest. They don't got no commitment. There's no loyalty to you. And so you're going to notice that a lot of these people kind of just treat you like a number. And you're no number, boo-boo. You're more important than no number. So make sure you give a solution. Don't ask if you can offer it, right? And then when it comes time to close the sale. Don't ask. Assume that sale is done. But there's a way to deliver your sales message, and I'm going to share that with you in just a little bit. And then don't forget to get the referrals and testimonials. Now having the capability to give this type of information online, that's social proof. If you can get video testimonials, even stronger. But if you can get just any testimonial, you can generate future business through those testimonials. So see the big picture. Don't just look at it as, oh, I hope Jim and Susie like me. So I got a message for you. It's a special announcement, actually. Did you know that today Sales Remastered turns 2 years old? Yes. So 2017 on Valentine's Day, I launched Sales Remastered with the intention and the hope to help salesmen, most particularly loan officers, understand sales in a different way. Because I think number one, a lot of us don't have the actual resources to learn how to do this properly. I believe that we are being given information and techniques that used to work back in like 2003. But understanding kind of the evolution of communication and how consumers buy and kind of their thought process behind taking action, I think that there is a new way of selling. And so that was my whole goal, is to actually open everyone's eyes to see that, hey man, this isn't really a grind. This isn't hard at all. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to use all the resources around you rather than look for the issues, problems, and things that are broken. Let's look at the opportunity and the resources that we have that actually work and maximize the opportunity. And that happened 2 years ago today. But wait, I bring gifts. I got gifts for you to celebrate this 2nd year anniversary of Sales Remastered. I'm actually hooking everyone up. So the secret formula, which is, if you guys ever went to salesremastered.com, this is actually known as my sports package. I like to call my products vehicles because that's exactly what they are. They're used as a vehicle. You're going to use it to take you from where you are now to your next destination. And the same thing applies with these products. But this particular product, this is my middle product, my what I call sports package. So it's not the economy package, not the basic version of the closing closing secrets 101. This is actually the secret formula. So it's more expanded. Not only does it teach you how to properly sell a consumer, but it also teaches you how to market them as well as identify the key players within your organization and how to properly communicate with them so that you can delegate more of the tedious tasks. Those tedious tasks are things that are eating up your time. And the only way to close more sales in 2019 is if you're more efficient with your time. So this particular program, even though it doesn't have the one-on-one coaching, mentoring calls with me directly like the Sales Boost Camp does, this is still effective. I've got a handful of students that use this program to get to the top 10% of their sales organization. So imagine how much their income has gone up just for their investment. But today, I just made a coupon code go live. It's called HBDSR for Happy Birthday Sales Remastered. And that's going to slide 50% off of the sales price. So if you go to the actual website, and there's going to be an offer link at the bottom of this video, and you go to the actual checkout, there's a place to put a coupon code. Well, if you add in the HBDSR and hit that apply button, it's going to wipe out 50% off that price just today though. Okay. And this is my present to you for the support and the loyalty that you guys have given me. I'm going to hook you guys back up in return, get a program that is literally worth its weight in gold. There are scripts, there are templates within this module, within a module within this course that pays for itself. This is what they call copyright. And if you understand how to communicate effectively and are persuasive through emails, through texts, through voice messages, that's how you get them to return your calls. It's not leaving a message like, hey, this is Daniel. Hope you put some thought to the numbers we talked about. I teach you the right way. But besides that, Closing Secrets 101, you get lifetime access. It's within that course. Besides that, you're going to get, actual objections and rebuttal scripts, voicemail and texting scripts. All you have to do is copy and paste. Literally, it is worth its weight in gold. You get a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. It literally is about a $12,000 value. It retails for $997, but today, with use of the HBDSR, not HBSR, typo. So the code is HBDSR for Happy Birthday Sales Remastered. You're going to get away with it for $499 today. That thing is valuable. I think that it's definitely worth its weight in gold, and it's something that you can definitely use to help step up your game. You know, again, I got a couple students already who are inside that course, and they've simply used it for the way that it accelerated their learning curve. And so most loan officers will come into this industry and they could take years to learn how to reach that top 10 echelon, or they could take months after months and just trial and error. And what I've done is I've simply taken all my experience, about 20 years of sales experience, and compacted it into this course. And so it's far more effective than a college degree. I guarantee you that, because it tells you exactly what works and how to do it, and it gives you a step-by-step plan. But I've also provided you the scripts for the copywriting. So all you literally need to do is just copy and paste it into your own CRM or into your own SMS text message capabilities and utilize it to get the attention that you need so that you can close more sales. So without further ado, I hope that you guys really did like this live stream, and that you guys will celebrate with me, because again, this is 2 years going in. I hope you guys have an awesome Valentine's Day. For those of you who guys are watching in Southern California, you definitely want to drive safe, stay dry, and definitely hit up on the comment section, happy birthday Sales Remastered, because at some point I'm glad that we did connect, because this channel has brought value to thousands of loan officers now across the country, and it's changed the lives of hundreds of them. And what I mean by change the lives is because, you know, it's taken away the grind. It's literally from the intermission video that you see right before this live stream goes on, those are real live comments. Those are real live reviews. And you can check out those reviews on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You can look at those reviews on Facebook. And these are individuals who just came into the industry and now they're smashing it and they're killing it. So you tell me, do you think that their investment paid for itself? It absolutely did, because they're still smashing it today. You know, one of my videos uploaded this week, I shared a story about a student who enrolled into the Sales Boost Camp. His name's Chris Tran. And he hit me up out of nowhere, because with my top tier students in that program, I've got an open communication policy. So they got my phone number, they could text me, they could email me. And he called me out of the blue and he just wanted to say hi. But really what his underlying message is that he is literally smashing it right now. And just to know that I was part of that, it really feels special, because I think that, you know, when you understand the importance of information and you understand the importance of having a mentor and coaching, you can then literally exercise kind of that availability, or at least get access to that information and kind of skip traffic. It's kind of like taking the toll road or taking the fast track. You don't need to sit in traffic to wait for your turn to earn. You can literally find the fastest way there by simply taking the information by people who are already there. And I'm there, boo-boo. I want to help you get there too. So go to salesremaster.com, enter in that code HBDSR at checkout, get 50% off the retail price of the program, get enrolled, and take control of your destiny. Grab 2019 by the horns and be sure that you're not left out high and dry going through trial and error, or taking advice from people who aren't even in sales, or taking advice from people who used to sell. I sell today. As you can see, and through all the content that I give, my only goal is to help you prosper and help you win. So I hope that we can do that today. Happy birthday, Sales Remastered. And I wish all of you guys a phenomenal day and a happy Valentine's Day. Thanks very much for joining me. I'll see you on the next live stream.